encouragement is a life changer. Encouragement is a life changer. Where would Saul be had Barnabas not said, I'll take you to the leaders? Where would Saul be if Barnabas doesn't think, I know a guy that would be perfect for this job. Let me go to his hometown and find him. Where would Saul be? Now, if you're new to Bible study, and this isn't a story that's even remotely familiar to you, you might even be still thinking in this moment, okay, that's cool. So Saul had two cities try to kill him, and then he helped a city called Antioch. No, Saul did a lot more than that. We're going to talk about that in the next few weeks. We're just getting started. Saul ends up not just changing his life because of Barnabas. Saul doesn't just change the church at Antioch because of Barnabas. Saul ends up changing the world because of Barnabas. So when I say encouragement is a life changer, I really do mean legitimate encouragement can be a life changer. And it might not even be just the life you're encouraging, advocating for, risking for, acting on behalf of. It might not just be their life that you're changing, but every life that individual then goes to encourage and change themselves. It starts with one. And in this story, it starts with a guy named Barnabas. But that wasn't actually his real name. But that's what he was known for. A life changer, a life launcher, a son of encouragement. And I think everyone would probably say, I want one of those. Like, can I get a Barnabas? Like 1-800 rent a barn? You know what I'm saying? Like, can I get anybody? Like, can I get one of those? Where do I sign up for a Barnabas? I mean, I'm telling you, I know what it's like to have people in my life that step in and advocate, that take action, don't just say nice things to me, but actually step in and take risks. Go back to one of my earliest moments of someone just jumping in. It was my fourth grade teacher. Her name was Miss Aldridge, and I know I've told this story before, but she was a huge part of who I've become because of what she, for some reason, saw in me. I remember she didn't just say nice things, though. She made action to make sure myself and my brother were okay. It was Christmas time. My dad didn't have anyone who watched. He didn't have enough vacation time, and it was just him. And so she stepped in and was like, hey, I'll take the boys over Christmas break while you work. And so every morning at 6 a.m., my dad dropped us off at my fourth grade teacher's house. She was in her bathrobe and rollers and stuff half the time. And I was like, who are you, you know? Every time I saw her at school, she had a string of pearls and a dress on. And she was the sweetest lady. But she stepped into my life. There's a guy that's here just about every Sunday. I haven't seen him this morning. Usually he sits right back there. His name's John Greer. Johnny was one of the first pastors that ever took time with me. He was a music pastor at a church I grew up in East Point. And he spent time with me as an 11, 12, 13-year-old. When I first started learning how to play the guitar and was singing a little bit. I mean, to have the minister of music who, honestly, if you never met Johnny, he knows the hymn book like the back of his hand. We used to play a game on Sunday nights when we would go because we went to church like every freaking day of the week. It felt like, for sure, Sunday night, Sunday morning, Wednesday night, and then every once in a while, Tuesday or Mondays. Right, so we were there. On Sunday nights, we had this thing where he would lead the hymns, and he had this great piano player. His name was Tim. And we would just open it up, and you could just say any number in the hymnal at all. And there was like 600 hymns in there, any number. And he would just look at Tim, he'd start playing it, he would lead it. He was just incredibly, so when it came to music, right, and music became a huge part of my life, he was one of the first people to invest in me and to encourage me. When I went to my first church, or I guess it was my second church in Peachtree City, I was at a church in McDonough for a few years. We moved over here. The first church I was spending time in Peachtree City, the very first person to come and talk to me my very first day was Johnny Greer. to make sure that everything was good and like everything was moving in a positive. Like he was there, and he invested in me for 6-7 years there. We planted foundation, and we got things going. He showed up and he just said, "Hey, I want to help." And I was like, "All right, Johnny, what you want to do?" And he looked at me and he just said, "Anything that doesn't put me in front of people and on the stage." But I was like, "Johnny, but you'll be so good." He's like, "Nah, I want to do that. I want to help you in some other way." And so he loaded in with us for years at the high school. For sure, the most seasoned guy there, right? If you ask him, he was the most seasoned guy there, pushing carts, doing the best he could to unload as much as he could, as fast as he could, which wasn't fast. That, it doesn't just have to be someone that's older than you. About 9 years ago, 8.5, 9 years ago, I sat in a room with a bunch of people and was telling them I just felt like God wanted us to do this thing in Newnan. And a guy named Brady Lewis, who's our creative arts pastor, sits back there in the back. He's making sure all of you online get to see my gorgeous face. He just panned away for sure. Brady Lewis stood up in front of a bunch of people and said, "Hey, we want to help. Me and Brenton, we want to be a part of it." And I remember saying, "Brady, I don't have any staff. Like, we're not doing like that. Like, there's no pay, you know?" He's like, "I don't care. I'm in. I want to help make this happen." And there's so many people, just enormous amount. I mean, there's a huge list. And so I stand in front of you as someone who's been the recipient and still honestly the ongoing recipient of people who continue not to say nice things to me, but to risk and advocate and take action on my behalf in enormous ways. And so I stand in front of you with an abundance of encouragement riches that honestly, I promise you, I don't deserve. And so when I hear some of you say, "I wish I had an encourager," I don't know a lot about what that's like. But that doesn't mean it's not a problem to be solved. So I've got a theory. The truth is, you can't control your encourager, but you can control your encouragement. Hear me. This is my theory. I bet if every single one of you decided to become an encourager, an advocate, someone who would risk, someone who would take action on behalf of someone else, not simply say nice things in their direction, but again, to advocate, to risk, to take action on behalf of someone else's good. If every single one of you became an encourager, my bet is every single one of you would have an encourager. The reason we lack encouragers in our life is because there's not enough of us being encouragers. So the responsibility doesn't start with what I want someone else to do for me. The responsibility starts with, this is what I ought to be for someone else. And there's no excuse. We can see it. We can read it. It's clear. The encouragement is the way that God launches people. He's telling us right now. You read it with your own eyes on the screen. It's clear as day. Encouragement is life-changing. Who are you encouraging? Or are you using the fact that no one's encouraging you as an excuse for why you don't do it for somebody else? This is what I know and believe. God will bring the people to your life to accomplish what God needs you to accomplish. I guarantee it. But don't block it by saying, I've got prereqs on doing what you want me to do, God, and you need to do this first before I do what you want me to do. Don't do that. That's stupid. That is dumb. It's foolish. It doesn't make any sense. We can't bargain with God about his desires for us. We can't say, it'd be nice if you knew what you were talking about, but you're missing something. We can't say that. If we have the ability to say that and him change his mind, he then loses the definition of being God, which is, I already knew everything already. So we can't do that. We have a responsibility day in and day out to be the people we're supposed to be, whether someone else shows up for us or not. And I know that's easier for me to say as someone who's had a lot of people show up for me. I know. But don't let that cloud the decision that you have to act on the truth. Be that somebody for someone else. Encouragement isn't passive. It's strategic. It's strategic because it's not going to be random. Encouragement isn't passive, it's decisive. And it's decisive because others probably will hesitate. Others might have their own reservations. Encouragement isn't passive because it's active. It's more than simple words. It's action. Maybe you would pray this week a very simple prayer. 5 words and a comma. God, make me an encourager. God, would you make me an encourager? And if you do that, the truth is you will be a part of someone else's God, make me prayer. That you will show up at just the right time, and they won't actually see you as an encouragement. They will see you as an answer to prayer. And I'm not sure it gets any better than that. So church, this week, everybody, be an encouragement. Not with your words, but with your actions. Advocate, risk, act.